Guys,
What's up? What's up?
happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday, y'all.
Happy Wednesday.
I don't know if y'all have anything in your cup, but I'm sipping on a little something and I'm going to cheers to our episode 17.
Well, I have my icy.
I'm just sipping on some juice. There's no liquor in my cup.
Episode 17.
Episode 17. Here we are. Tonight's topic, we're going to be talking about the Travis Scott tragedy that took place last Friday. There was a concert, there was a melee, there was injuries, there were lots of news reports, and then a lot of backlash. I mean, Travis has been a trending topic for a while, certainly even more so now that this tragic and this terrible event has happened. We know that there was a news broadcast, and the parent of two of the children spoke. And I think, Dominique, I said to you, I was like, I watched that man, and he was so well composed and so well spoken when he was talking about the state in which his children were found, one of which arrived at the hospital and was labeled as a John Doe because there was no one present to identify him, unfortunately. So we're going to talk about this. We're going to get into how was this handled? Was it handled properly? Who's responsible for it? Should there be more action that's taken? And this is why I don't like to be going to no places where I could possibly get trampled and stomped on. So this is what we're going to get into tonight. We hope that you all join us. Make sure you subscribe to the Real Chill Conversations YouTube page. Go to our Instagram page at Real Chill Conversations. The link for the YouTube page is in that bio there. And we're also sharing this stream to Facebook. And also we are live on the Real Chill Conversations Instagram page. We already got people waving at us. So ladies, who want to go first?
I do want to talk about what they first said, which was the chief of police that he mentioned when it first happened. He said that someone was going around pricking people on the neck, like with drugs. And I guess a security guard came out and, they gave him something to bring him back. And he made that statement. However, I was reading the article that he actually, back off that statement, that the security guard was pricked with a needle. Yeah, he backed off that statement.
Well, one of the articles that I was reading talked about how there are such strong ties with Travis Scott to the city, and him receiving a key to the city. His mother gives out turkeys at Thanksgiving time frame. We've seen the video footage. We've seen the clips. We've seen where there were people trying to get the attention of security, and security just was ignoring the fact. And you could actually hear the screams of somebody's dead over there. And I think that was initially when the boy had fallen off of his brother's shoulders, and hit the ground. So ignoring that, and then the story about the needle prick and all of that, it's possible that people could have been injected with, the GHB and the different drugs that kind of knock you out, the date rape drugs, and then having Narcan on them injected with that to, bring them back. It basically reverses those drugs. But it's just very interesting to hear that now they want to kind of backpedal off of that story. It just seems like the responsibility is kind of shifting and going all over the place. So, Nat, thank you so much for joining us this evening. We just literally got started with just going into the topic for tonight, which is we're talking about the Travis Scott situation. We talked about the initial articles that came out. We mentioned that the investigation has been complicated by the fact that Travis has such strong ties to the city of Houston along with his family. And so, we're looking to kind of break down the situation and see, was it handled properly? What should have been done that wasn't? Why is there so much, there's so much I didn't know, when the videos that we're seeing are really proving otherwise. Yes, you did know. People were actually like tugging on your arm and telling you, hey, there's a problem over here. So that's where we're at. Welcome, Nat.
Hey, good evening, everybody.
Hey.
Good evening, Nat.
Nat, we also were cheering too. This is our episode 17. So we are 17 episodes into the Real Chill
Wow.
Conversations. And we're also live on the Real Chill Conversations Instagram page. So everyone is looking at your faces on the screen. We're getting lots of people waving so far. I'm waving back as fast as I can. But one of the things that I thought that was really interesting was that the articles that I've been reading were breaking down the fact that most of Travis Scott's security are actual off-duty Houston police officers. So this isn't a private security detail. It's not a hand-picked, hey, you're my cousin, brother, uncle on my mama's side and my daddy's, best friend in college security guard. These are actual sworn in police officers that are making additional money by working as security for Travis Scott. So to me, it seems a little, the whole conspiracy kind of situation, it just seems like it's smelling like a cover up to me. It's smelling like lack of responsibility, because if you are a sworn in police officer, off duty or not, you're a first responder, and that comes first, and you are supposed to first do no harm. So if there's proof that one of the videos that's out there surfacing now shows that the one of the girls that was trying to get the attention saying, hey, there's somebody over there that's dead, and he just basically kind of like shakes her off and pays her no mind. If that was a police officer, then what are the ramifications for that? What are the consequences? Who is going to step up and take responsibility? Who from the city? And should someone from the city say, you know what, we've got a situation under our hands that we've not previously had to deal with? Yes, we've had a wonderful relationship in the past with Travis Scott and his family, but certainly the victims in this unfortunate incident and the losses of life and the injuries that took place during this concert must be looked into. And we cannot dismiss this. We can't cover it up. Cannot.
I mean, Brenna, from the get-go, I don't think that there were like enough security there. And one of a girl who attended the actual event, she was on TikTok and she explained um, that it was real easy to come in and work for them. Like, to her, it was fishy from the beginning because they didn't have to do like no extent training or anything like that. So she already stated that it was not enough security there. And I mean, you could just see like a whole bunch of people just raging into the festival. Like, I think it was more than 50,000 people there, honestly.
Yeah, and it seems like in most cases, at least pre-COVID. I mean, they were very strict fire marshal codes. I mean, you could only have so many people in the building, things like that. You could only have so many people in an arena, things like that. So based on
Well, I don't mean to interrupt, but this girl, she was like, they were not even really checking the COVID thing, and they had like fake ones.
I
So
saw
they were not even really checking them. So
I saw that as
And
well.
the thing about everybody that was running in and like surpassing being checked at the gates is like the show should have been stopped right there, because now there's no, like, nobody checked them. They could have brought any type of weapon into the actual show. It's like, okay, that right there is like 50,000 people. We can't risk, a mass shooting, or who knows what could have happened if they weren't really actually diehard fans, that noticed that and just got in.
I
and
mean,
when you say 50,000 people, are you counting just the tickets they sold? Because I saw like a lot of people running in there. So it
exactly.
had to be more.
You have to think about the amount of people when they're talking about tickets sold versus also people that are like, hey, just come through. My brother works for the crew. I can get you in. All that kind of
Hmm.
stuff always goes on at concerts. We know this. And then not checking, not following COVID protocols, no weapons checks, no paraphernalia checks. For I mean, there should be no reason for anybody to have needles in their pocket at a concert unless it's an EpiPen because you have a severe allergy to something and you could go into anaphylactic shock. Regular hypodermics, no sir. Like that should have never happened. No ma'am, no Pam. And the way that we're watching this unfold, the people that were present are speaking about how they experienced the handling of the situation. And it just seems like it was a complete mess, just a mess.
I didn't see until recently that Live Nation was also involved in organizing the show, but they're, it's a pretty big name when it comes to just music in general, especially concerts. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how everything unfolds within these next couple of weeks, because this is just so shocking.
Right, it definitely is.
So one of the biggest concerns, of course, that I had, of course, it's unfortunate when you hear about any type of injury, and we know that there's been large gatherings and people get injured. There was a party on a balcony and the balcony collapsed and people were on a rooftop and the rooftop caved in and different things. But we're talking about kids. We're talking about some children, the ages of my kids, attending this show. And I imagined my one of my kids having my other one on his shoulder and then getting jostled and rustled, by the crowd, and the younger one falling off, getting injured, and then getting trampled and stompled because he's now on the ground. And then the big brother getting injured as well, but then they're separated because of the melee and everything that's going on. And I just don't think that there was enough speaking out and enough apology and remorse that was shown immediately after you all allowed the show to go on. That's a huge issue that I have with this.
Yes, I think so as well. There wasn't, um, I mean, even with the apology, like, I don't, I don't know. Like, I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Are y'all talking about the apology when he kept rubbing his forehead?
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh.
And then the article say at least 8 people died. So at least,
It's
it's
because there are
telling me
people
that
still in
there's
the
more.
hospital. There, some people are still in coma, so I feel like they haven't even confirmed the number. Like, hopefully they pull through, but I think that's why they're leaving everything as like a mystery because there are more people in the hospital, and who knows what their conditions will be in the next couple of days. It's ridiculous.
I mean, we're hearing about, I mean, one of the boys, one of the brothers has major organ damage. He has brain swelling. He's in a coma. I mean, imagine your body getting stomped and trampled by people of all different weights and different amounts of pressures. And Nat, you're absolutely right. We don't know the final count. We know, on arrival, as of the evening of the event, 8 had passed away, but there's others, like you said, that are still in the hospital being treated for their injuries. Some are not even awake, and in a state in which they can speak about, what happened and some of the events that went down. But the message that seems to have been sent out to me seems of one of little to no remorse, not a care in the world. I literally just read an article that said, Travis went on to an after party when the concert was over. Not, let me go to the hospital and sit with the families. Let me send, whatever help and aid I can. No, let me go ahead and go on to this after party because it's lit. And I think that that's just
Well,
terrible.
he did say he was going to give everyone a refund, but I mean,
That
refund, like,
I was surprised to see that.
You gonna refund my life?
I was surprised that they were offering refunds.
and the thing is, it was many people who went up there. It was a young lady, a young male, who actually went up, climbed up all the way up to the stage to tell them to stop the concert because people were dead. And you can actually hear that clip. Um, it's out here where she's actually saying that and the guy, he's also trying to tell them as well. I mean, they totally ignored them. Also, the people who work with them, two of them came up to him and said, and was trying to tell him, and he was like, man gone or something, but didn't stop.
I feel like that Travis had an agenda. And what I mean by that is this is not his first rodeo of hyping the crowd up and something happening. Um, uh, I feel like the people that went to the concert, they probably didn't expect that, but they expected something to happen. All of his concerts are, I'm going to say, off the chain. I don't really listen to his music, but when I glimpsed at it the other day, you have to hear his words and what he stands for. So, um, going there, I'm pretty sure they knew something was going to happen tonight. Just by, they said that he had, what was it, an eye up? I don't know what it's called, but he had some weird stuff that was up. It's sad how it had to happen.
Are
Rest
you
in peace to
speaking
all the
of
people that passed away. Huh?
are you referencing the references to the sacrifice? That whole
Yes.
okay.
Well, I'm
Okay.
not I'm not saying it's a sacrifice. I just said I feel like it was agenda behind it because if you're if the crowd is screaming at you to stop and you continue to go on, you have a personal agenda that you must fulfill. That's my own personal opinion. Like I said, I watched the video clips. I have listened to other people and their opinion on it. But when you went to that concert, you saw certain things. There were certain things up that should have been red flags, like, hey, don't even enter. You see what I mean? So for them to make a choice to still go, they knew something was going to happen. They know that he's the type of person to hype the crowd up, to get the crowd hyped, and to make foolishness happen. It's tragic. Like I said, it's tragic what happened, but a lot of people have to wake up and start making good decisions on, okay, should I put myself in this predicament and go here, or should I not?
And do y'all think people really will go with that? I mean, going forward, do you think they're gonna go to another concert? I just
I
want to
think
hear
they're
y'all
gonna choose
opinion.
wisely. I will say that. Um, I I think they're gonna really think about their decision, because first off, it's still a pandemic to me. It's still a pandemic. People are still getting sick off of what's going on. And for nobody to have no mask, no social distancing, nothing, just to have all of that, they don't care. They don't. First off, they don't. He doesn't care about your health. Second, he didn't care about having the right security. Security should have put a stop to it. I don't care who you are. When you see people are dying, that's actually dead, put a stop to it. Get him off stage. You see, they let him stay up there. There's ways to shut down his mic. Why didn't somebody shut down his mic? You could turn his mic off.
Exactly.
They let him. You see?
It's an excellent point, Edwina, that even if security did not take it upon themselves and other parts of the crew that were alerted that there was a problem, you've got engineers, you've got sound people, you've got lights people. I mean, I'm sure if they were to dim the lights, that would have been more of a melee. But if, maybe they turned the lights all the way up so that it looked like it was, 10 o'clock in the morning and not in the Astroworld vibe. And an engineer broke through and saying, we're getting reports of some injuries and some people that are injured. We think it's in the best interest and safety that we go ahead and we stop this concert. And then, Travis, if you want to come on and say, guys, really sorry about what happened, but safety first, health comes first. We're going to refund your tickets and give you the option to the next time that we decide to put on this performance, your ticket will be valid or something like that. There's many ways that this could have gone, and you definitely brought up some excellent points and some valid points. But we've seen also videos of other artists performing on stage and someone falling ill. And Dominique, you and I just talked about the Tiana Taylor video that we saw, and she was like, no, nope, come on, nope, come on. And so whoever was hurt and injured, she encouraged them to come to the stage, come up here, sit here. She's like, we don't play that here. And that to me is the level of responsibility that artists should have when you're putting on a show. You can't just leave it to your manager. You can't just leave it to the promoters. You can't just leave it to the arena. You have to have a level of accountability and responsibility, because it's these people that are coming to your shows that are helping to support your lifestyle. So why would you not want to take care of them?
He saw that ambulance in the crowd.
That's the only thing I'm saying, Natalie. He did see it. There's just no way you can't see a big ambulance coming in.
I
How
mean,
are you gonna
even
miss that at
Kylie
your
Jenner
show?
put in her story and then she took it down.
She took it down, and then she was like, I didn't even know what happened until I saw it on the news myself. Really? Really, Kylie? That's what you going with?
Y'all know he just released a new single, I want to say yesterday. The title is Escape Plan.
Wow.
How fitting.
Wow.
Hey Natalie, can you jump in and tell us about why they retracted their statement about the pricks?
Oh, I'm not sure why they took it back, but oh, Sorry, y'all.
I mean, that was just weird to me. Why would they retract that statement? I mean, you
Sorry, y'all. They
said
were
this
talking
to
amongst
They
the whole
probably pay
themselves.
public,
them money too.
huh?
They probably pay them money too.
Right? I
To
don't know.
retract.
Yeah. If
It's
somebody
something
say, "Hey, I
fishy.
give you a couple $100,000," okay, say less.
Say less. You're definitely doing yourself a favor and a service by saying less. Especially if you don't know the right thing and to say. I mean, sometimes they say silence is golden. Um, but all this putting out a statement and then retracting the statement and backpedaling and, oh, we didn't really know what was going on until after the fact and we had no idea. Like, Travis, you really want us to believe that you did not know that 8 people lost their lives and a little boy was listed as a John Doe at the hospital getting
And he's
work,
still fighting for his life, right, Brenda?
still fighting for his life, still fighting for his life. And we also know that there's already one lawsuit that has been absolutely filed, paperwork signed, and everything.
I
And
think
there's
it's going to be many of those.
many
They're
of
It's a
those.
almost
lot of money on
50. There's
this.
42 right now.
42.
Oh wow,
Yes,
wow! That
42.
last that I looked at it, it was like 20 something. So it's
Yeah.
going up and up and up and up and up and up.
But
Wow.
what I was gonna say about the security is they were saying that someone was going around and like injecting people and that one of the securities got pricked in their neck. But they recanted the statement and it was just odd, like why they took it back. Is it because they didn't want um like they just didn't want the information out there, or like they didn't want to put all the blame on who it might have actually needed to be on.
It's just weird. It's weird. Like, why give us that information and then turn around and want to take that information back? Because if you have people that are falling out at a show, which from the several videos that I've watched, that's kind of like the description. People were just like falling out and passing out. And, we've seen that happen at shows. People get overwhelmed, they get excited, they get overheated. You don't know what they were getting into before they got to the show, or, whatever. There's many, many, many different reasons. But if there, in fact, was someone that was randomly needle sticking folks, injecting them with something or whatever, then again, that does fall back on responsibility of not having enough security and then not following the proper protocols to begin with. Because how did you even get in here with that? Like, nobody patted you down, like you didn't have to walk through no kind of metal detector gate, like nothing. Like, how does that explain that to me? Like, make that make sense.
It would definitely fall on them if they wouldn't have recanted that statement. And I mean, it would have been a big weight on them. But I still believe the first story.
Yeah. um Usually when you're talking about situations and things that happen, it's like, your first recollection is usually your best recollection because it's so fresh in your mind. So the first story that we were given, the first bit of information that came out, I believe that to be the truth. And then I think from there, they started trying to do damage control. They were trying to backpedal. They were trying to diminish the amount of impact a situation like this would mean, not only for Travis Scott, but for other artists that are trying to get back to touring. Touring had been basically shut down and stopped for almost 2 years with this whole COVID pandemic. So nobody's going to want to see themselves being the one labeled as being responsible for stopping the bag for other people that are trying to get back out on tour.
Unless they were pricking themselves with drugs. And then when it all boiled down, they had to blame it on somebody. I mean, that's the only thing I can think of, y'all. Like, nobody just comes out and say that, because he actually went to the doctor, right?
Yes.
And they said, even the doctor said that. So I don't know.
What I do know is that it really makes you take a second look if you never took a first look when it comes to like going to concerts and shows. And I have memories of going to all these different concerts and shows and like not thinking a thing about it, not wondering like like what if something happens, what, like, no fear, no worries, like everything's going to be fine. Like I'm just trying to get to the show because I want to see the show. I want to go to the concert. um Various arenas from Vegas to New York and Jersey stadiums and here and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like now hearing this story, it just makes me apprehensive to being in a situation. And I'm less concerned about, and this is going to sound crazy, but honestly, it's my fear. I'm less concerned about somebody walking around and like sticking with needles than I am about trampling. I'm scared to death of being in a situation where I can't get out and I'm trampled. And now this frightens me. So any show that I go to, it's got to be some kind of like intimate setting, not no 50,000 people. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I was watching, I think it was the Rolling Loud. I forget how many months ago it's been since that now, but it looked like they had aisles where if you needed to jump out of the crowd and get some breath, like, catch your breath, I mean, and just, I don't know if the security was going to pull you out or you can just walk easily over to where the barricades are and just hop out. But I know Astroworld didn't have any of that. So imagine like 50,000 people in the crowd. You can't even walk to the edge of it because you don't know where the edge of it is.
I think there were more ambulances on hand and paramedics and EMTs on hand for my son's playoff football game. I counted 4 ambulances, a bunch of let's see, on the entrance there were 4 police officers in uniform. I have no idea how many undercovers, but then also throughout the stadium, basically in each section there was a police officer, and then off the field, off the side of the field, there were 4 ambulances. So there were had 2 ambulances, two for each of the teams that was playing that day. And the precautions and the protocols that we had to go through. I mean, we were screened. We had everything, empty your pockets. We had to walk through a metal detector to go to a middle school football playoff, but we couldn't get that same kind of security and measures put in place. Oh, and masks were required. Even though we were going to be sitting outside watching the game, masks were required. Had to wear a mask, vaccinated or not.
Yeah, from here
Yeah,
on
I
out,
think.
I'm pretty sure they're going to put so many different just all types of rules when it comes to crowds over a certain amount of people, because this right here just kind of set the precedent for that. Cause
Yeah, I think they dropped the ball. I mean, just my personal opinion. I really do think so. Um, and I hope no one else, I pray no one else lose their lives behind this. And I'm also praying for the people affected by this because this was just very sad and it was bad. It was bad.
Dominic, I don't feel like they dropped the ball. I feel like they know what they were doing. I just can't sit back and
I
just say
know. I know
that
what you
these
mean.
grown people
Hmm.
that knows what's going on in the world today, it's just gonna be
Hmm.
like no mask, no security check. Like this is not the first case of a Travis Scott concert. Like security is the main thing. Somebody could have brought a gun, a knife, anything. I personally feel like it was agenda behind it, and I'm going to keep saying the same thing because uh, when you let people do what they want to do, like what he did, and the situation has happened now, it creates ratings for him. Heck, I didn't even know who Travis Scott really was until now. A lot of people didn't even know who he was until now. So even though it's a bad situation, it's actually a good thing for him because now everybody know who he
hmm
is, and it's like the ratings are getting high
yeah,
because we are talking about him. So it's agenda behind it. Like for instance, when that situation happened with who was it at a football game, Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake, nobody knew who he was really. He popped out her boob. Everybody knows him. Ratings went high. It's an agenda behind the whole situation. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
but I believe that this is probably it for him. I mean, that's just my personal opinion, but I really feel like that.
Let me read to you some of the responses that Travis has had. This one is coming after one of the wrongful death lawsuits was filed by the family of a young lady who, I believe her name was Madison. Travis says, "I'm honestly just devastated. We're actually working right now to identify the family so we can help assist them through this tough time." He then says, "Anytime I could make out, anything that's going on, I just stopped my show, help them get the help they need," he added. The rapper also plans to cover funeral costs for the victims. And these are the first of many steps Travis plans on taking as part of a personal vow to assist those affected through their grieving and recovery process, a statement from his representative um, that was shared um, yesterday. But if like you keep saying, Travis, anytime I can make out anything that's going on, I just stop my show. Well, they was letting you know early on when the show went on, and you then went to an after party.
You had a whole crowd like pleading, like you can actually hear them. It's like a clip
Yes.
out there that you can hear them saying, "Stop."
and that's the thing too. They have those. I don't. It's the earpiece. I feel like all the staff is talking through the earpiece. So
They have
somebody
to,
told him the ambulance is coming. Okay, we're
right?
performing CPR. Okay, like you hear
Right.
all this in your ear. So it's like really
You
up to
kept going.
you whether you're going to take it seriously or say, I feel like in his head he said, 50,000 people or two people that just passed out. Maybe they're drunk, maybe they're whatever happened. But I feel like when you're that deep in your business, when you're thinking business, 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 like he has for so long, it's not surprising for him to say, okay, 50,000 or two people that I see right there getting their chest pumped, and I'm just gonna keep harmonizing here to the beat. Like, bro, what are you doing?
The wrong one of the wrongful death lawsuits, I don't have them all pulled up, but one of the wrongful death lawsuits, it names Live Nation, Scoremore, ASM Global, Harris County Sports and Convention Corporation, Val Services, and then Scott's personal company Cactus Jack as defendants in the lawsuit, which accuses Travis Scott and the companies of negligence that resulted in this young lady's death. Also, there's a clip that's floating around there of Travis Scott's, I think now former manager, stating that Travis was the worst client that he ever had. Going back to what Edwina was saying
He
earlier,
said he left him for dead. And just going back to what Edwina is saying, maybe there is an agenda behind this.
there's something, because something is definitely going on. Something is definitely going on. Something is definitely happening here. This is not the first time that this has happened either. So it seems like there's always some kind of melee when Travis is performing his Astroworld concerts, and his fans are in attendance of these shows. So if in 2015 and 2017 and these other dates where there were incidences, wouldn't you and your team want to say, you know what, guys, we need to have more people on staff for security. We need more people available. We need to have an area off stage or whatever for anyone that's feeling ill or needs first aid. I mean, shoot, they have that at Six Flags and Great Adventure and Disney and all these other places. If you go to these large, entertainment and amusement parks and things like that, they've got first aid stations and places you can go if you feel like you're gonna pass out because you stood in line too long for a ride and you got overheated, or you got sick because you went on the twisty turny roller coaster. So this isn't new to him. You're not naive to this. You're not naive to people getting injured and there being some kind of melee at your shows. So why would you not want to step up and beef up security so that you are covered in the case of a lawsuit where you can prove, for every 100 people that were in attendance of my show, I had 20 available to intervene in case there was a problem. But he didn't, he won't.
Whew. Yeah. I mean, this is a bad situation. Bad situation. And like I said, it's going to be a lot more on the table. And, a refund, that's not really going to help anything. So they better get ready. Better get ready.
Refunds is one thing, paying funeral expenses is something else. But what's really going to be interesting is the shift in responsibility and the blame game that I believe is going to begin happening as more and more lawsuits continue to add up. I mean, if we're at 40 something now, shoot, we could be at 100, in the next, week and a half or so, just, depending on the outcomes of those that are still injured and trying to recover.
I'm sorry. Every video that I have seen of a person who was at the festival, Astroworld, right? That's how you say it, Astroworld. I don't know.
Yeah,
but
Astroworld, yeah.
Yeah. Every video that I have seen, those people are traumatized.
How could you not be? How could you not be if
Yeah.
the person next to you is dead on the ground and getting
Right.
stomped on and nobody's coming to to help. If you
Right.
tried to get help and nobody came, I mean, there's going to be all kinds of PTSD, and
Mhm.
and these people are going to need counseling. They're going to need grief
Right.
counseling. They're going to need therapy. Like, this is not, it's not just over because now they happen to be back at home safely. They're still thinking about the others that are injured or lost their lives. And so this is not the end of of the story. It's just unfolding, and it does keep seem to be waffling kind of back and forth. Edwina, I'm with you. I think there definitely was an agenda. There's certain things that I was reading. We won't get into that tonight, but certain things that I was reading that kind of point to there being a ritualistic aspect to success of certain artists and certain things that they do, and symbolisms and things like that. So perhaps that'll be a topic that we take on another episode of Real Chill Conversations. But I think unless anybody has anything else, we'll go ahead and conclude tonight's episode, because it hasn't been a week yet. It'll be a week on Friday, so there's still a lot more information that I'm sure we're going to be receiving in the upcoming days, and then we can go from there if we want to pick this conversation back up. But we just wanted y'all to be aware, to make sure you're paying attention to what the media is feeding you, and go back and look at the history and look at the backstory. And yeah, you sometimes you got to make it make sense. Be the investigator yourself. I love doing that.
And pay attention to all these things they putting in front of you. The whole symbolism of the whole festival was just demonic to me. Just my opinion.
And that's what I was trying to say earlier, Dominique.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you, Edwina. There's lots and lots I've read, and you wouldn't believe the number of artists, in addition to Travis, that you can find that very similar symbolism kind of embedded in their work. So, anyway, ladies, thank you so much for joining this evening's conversation, Real Chill Conversations podcast, episode 17. We talked about the Travis Scott tragedy. The story is still unfolding. We will continue to keep you updated. So make sure you go to our YouTube page, Real Chill Conversations. Go ahead and subscribe. Turn your notifications on so you'll get the updates. Because sometimes we like to pop on and do breaking news because something might be just so urgent we can't wait until next week's episode. But definitely do that. Definitely go ahead and follow our individual social media profiles, which you could find. You can just go to Real Chill Conversations Instagram page, and we're all on there as well. The YouTube link is there. And if nobody has anything else, then I'm going to say goodnight and sign off.
I'm done.
Okay.
Good
All
night.
right, ladies.
Bye,
Bye.
ladies.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Good night.